Hey YouTube, Tire Metalhead Weatherman here. First thing in the morning, we're looking at Lee, and we're looking at the tropics in general. As far as things are concerned, otherwise, nothing really of major note here. We have Hurricane Jova, but this is going to mainly be out to sea. This is forecast to become a major hurricane, but again, no immediate threats to land. California, you're safe, so nothing to really be concerned with here. Real topic is, of course, Tropical Storm Lee slated to become a major hurricane by this weekend. In fact, already we're seeing signs that this is rapidly strengthening. And if we actually look on the satellite here, you can already see that the center is starting to really come together quite nicely, if I were to say so myself, on satellite. We're going to see this thing really begin to ramp up over the next couple of days here. I'm expecting this to actually make hurricane as early as probably mid-afternoon, I would say, maybe even sooner than that. Like I said, we're in a literal tropical hotbed. Conditions are extremely favorable over this region. Here's a look at the spaghetti models, by the way, where we can see that there have been some changes. I've noticed this for a little bit here. Models are still updating, and that's what I was struggling with last night, was the fact that things were already kind of going along with this. We're still kind of caught in what I would like to call a model cusp, where we're starting to get some of the ensembles starting to come in. So new updates are gonna come in right after this video is done, but there's nothing I can do about it, and this needs to get talked about, so I'm sucking it up and dealing with it. So what these spaghetti models here are indicating is more so the track right now. Still not a lot of clarity as to what happens with this here, but the trend that I noticed, as I was harping on before, is we're starting to see a little bit of more of a west-southwesterly track instead of a northerly curve. This doesn't necessarily mean for sure that this is heading to land, but at the same time, anyone up and down the East Coast needs to be watching this extremely close, because this is going to be a very powerful storm. Regardless of whether you get an immediate landfall and the storm surge impacts, etc., you're going to be definitely dealing, even through the Caribbean, you're going to be dealing with extreme surf and rip current risk as a result of that. So that being said, regardless of that, you're going to feel something from this storm, but maybe the impacts will be a little bit different depending on the track, of course. As far as the intensity for this storm, almost all the models here, almost all the spaghetti models here, with the exception of a handful, have this going up to major hurricane at some point. The majority of them actually have it being pushed towards category 4. If we actually look all the way up to the top of the window right here, you can actually see what the predicted wind speed maximum will be. It's at 150 miles an hour max speed possible. So this could actually go up or down, but this is 7 miles an hour away from category 5. I actually think that category 5 would be possible here. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it makes it there. But the question will be, with this strengthening so fast, usually the trend is for these to get pulled out to sea. But so far we haven't seen that yet. And the slower this strengthens, the closer it could get to land. But like I said, and this is going out to especially those who use the clickbait of North Carolina, South Carolina getting hit, and areas up the Northeast. Right now, we can't tell where this is going, so there's no need to be spreading fear. Like, it's very disappointing to see other people doing that. So, and then also I've seen one post about somebody saying category 6. While, no, I'm just going to say it. No. If that does happen, then I'm going to say words on here that I should normally say. So that being said, here's the look at the forecast track. This is by early Friday morning. We're dealing with a major hurricane at this point. But yeah, this trend right here, I'm not liking this as much. A little bit earlier, and really even last night, there was a little bit more of an indicator of it jogging a little bit closer to sea, maybe making a close past Bermuda, but nonetheless here, definitely something that needs to be watched closely for you guys as well over there. But I've noticed that this is taking a little bit more of a straight path. Eventually it is going to turn. This is a typical trait with major hurricanes that end up in this part of the world here. At some point, these storms end up taking a jog to the north. But we'll have to see how this plays out here, and hopefully this ends up not really affecting anybody. I hope the fish will be okay, but that's really the best case scenario if I'm being honest. So, looking at some of the model data that I've also been able to take a look at here. Wind shear, of course, is going to be pretty light, and from what we can see here, this isn't going to really inhibit the storm at all. In fact, there is some cases here where we may even see this aiding the storm to develop further. Interesting thing to note here on this OOZ run is that there is some strong wind shear that comes into play, and this could take this out to sea a little bit further, but the new run is just now coming in, so I'm a little bit limited on what I'm able to see here. You can get up to about 7-8 hours out, but from what I can see here, if that ridge deepens a little bit earlier over here, that's in the heart of the country, this could allow this to get closer to land, and there have been a few models that are playing that out. Of course, we'll have to see how things develop with that. Looking at the OOZ on EPS here, it's a pretty similar deal. This is getting up to about 84 hours out. This is where the new GEFS kind of cuts off at the moment. Wish I had more time to let the model load here, but notice the EPS is a little bit more keen on that trough developing earlier. And this could pull this closer to land here, but there's still enough wind shear to where this might hamper the storm just a little bit. Really, that would be a best case scenario. However, these are ensemble models. These aren't quite like some of the hurricane models that we're going to be looking at here in the next couple of minutes. Conditions are very much favorable still, and we'll have to see how things play out with that. An interesting look here at what we're already seeing on satellite here, or simulated satellite as far as Lee is concerned. This is at the tropical storm phase right now, but look what happens as we go throughout the day today. You can see this really starting to ramp up by the time we get into the afternoon here. This is by this point we would probably see it as a hurricane. And then as time goes on, this really starts to get going by tomorrow, by the following day. It's be Friday, I think. Got my days mixed up. Thanks, Labor Day. But as time goes on, we start to see a really well pronounced eye. And by this point, by let's say 69 hours out, no pun intended, this is a ridiculous looking storm at this point. Towards that center of circulation, just looking at some of the sounding data is kind of crazy. But this is a very healthy, very powerful hurricane, maybe even closing in on Cat 4, Cat 5 by this point. And as we continue to go on, this only continues to just really strengthen, really just deepen here. You can even see with these brighter colors here, these are indicators of cloud tops, and the brighter the colors, usually the colder the cloud tops. Once you start getting into the pink here, that's about negative 90 degrees Celsius as far as the cloud tops are concerned. So really tall clouds, really powerful storm here. Can't imagine what this would be like for the hurricane hunters to fly through this. So looking at what we could see here in regards to what the radar would look like on this so far. Like I said, it's not really expected to make impact with land here, but look how low this pressure has gotten. And this is what gets me the most. So I'm going to rewind it back. This is about where we are right now. We're at 989 millibars of pressure right now around this point. And by the time we get towards, let's say 2 o'clock today, we're at 979. So this is about, I would say, category 1, maybe a strong category 1. But as time goes on, watch the pressure drop off like a rock. We get to Sunday. We get to 11 p.m. Sunday, my time. 909 millibars. This is some of the stronger hurricanes that we've seen. Will it be this exact pressure? Hard to say right now. But this is the hurricane based model, so it's a pretty good indicator of how strong this storm could be. Of course, this can change just like any other model, but we get all the way down to 901 millibars. That is unbelievable. This is going to be probably the strongest storm of the year by far. There's no question about it. The question is, of course, where will this go? Still too early to tell, but again, like I said, if you're on the East Coast, you definitely need to be on the lookout. Just because right now there's no indicators of it going towards land doesn't mean it can't. And with the water temperatures being as warm as they are across the board here, it's definitely in your best interest to be keeping an eye on this here, because if by some chance, even though I'm very doubtful this scenario would happen, where we would see an impact somewhere around here, this is going to most likely strengthen all the way towards landfall. But if it turns out to sea and heads over towards this region, it could hold out pretty well, but it probably wouldn't be nearly the same kind of monster that it would be if it were to go here. If this goes towards the northeast, we could be talking a different story here. Still a major hurricane even possibly at this point, but impacts might be a little bit different here. In any case, if you're up and down the East Coast or even as far north as Maine, you need to be watching this. So make sure you're staying tuned to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, smashing that share button as well. Make sure you get the bell on, because we'll probably be starting to do more, a little bit closer to daily coverage, maybe even 2 videos a day as this draws closer and more clarity comes along with the path of this storm. So again, not an urgent situation just yet, but don't wait until it is one. Anyway, though, appreciate you guys for watching the video. I'll see you guys a little bit later today, maybe tomorrow. In any case, this has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. You guys take care. Have a nice day, and I'll see you soon.